Hey guys, welcome to the Creative Arena. So in the past, I've made a couple of videos of stacking card effect on ScrollTrigger with the use of GSAP, like what we have here. And if you've not seen this video, there is a link in the description of this video where you can get this video and watch. And also, I've also been able to create stacking card effect without the use of any line of code by just making use of the Elementor features, like what you can see here. Now, both of these stacking card effect have one thing in common. They are being stacked vertically, that is from the top to the bottom and then back up. However, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create stacking card effect horizontally, that is from the right to the left and then backward. So at the end of this tutorial, we're going to create something that looks like so. So now when you scroll back up, you can see this effect is going back, and then when you start scrolling downward, you get this stacking effect from horizontally like this, and it's responsive on all devices. And we can check that out by coming over here to our live simulator, check it out on tablet and see how it looks like on tablet. As you can see, when you scroll back up, it goes back. And then we can also check it out on mobile, and we can see it looks great also on mobile like that. Okay, so without further delay, let's dive in and get started. In our Elementor editing screen, the first thing I'll do here is click on this plus icon here, select the Flexbox container, then I'll select the structure here. For the content width, I'm going to leave it at boxed and then set the content width to 1200 pixel. Then for the minimum height, I change the uniform pixel to VH and give it a value of 100. Then I'll come over to the style option, background, I set it to classic and then give it a background color black. Then I'm going to come over to our element area and then select the container widget. Now I will duplicate the container widget. Now for reference purposes, I'm going to rename this, call this one here our parent container, parent section container. Okay, and then for the first container, I'm going to call this one our text content. And then for this other container here, I'm just going to call this one our product content. Okay, so now for the text content, I'm just going to come over here, justify content to the center. Then I'm going to go over to our add element and then select the heading widget and drop it here. Now for the heading text, I'm going to set it to our services. Then go to the style option and tweak it a little bit. Now for the typography, I leave the font family as it is. Font size, I'm going to change the unit to REM and give it a value of 6.5 REM. For the weight, I set it to 600 bold, semi-bold, and then come over to the text and set it to white. Then I'll go back to our element and then select the text editor right below it. Then I'm going to copy out this text here just to make it much. Then I'll go to the style option and just change the text color. Nothing much to do here. Go back to our element area and then select the button widget and drop it right below. Now for the button text, I can set it to learn more. And then go to the style option and just change the button background color to let's say red. Then give it a border radius of 5 pixels for round. So we now have something as basic and simple as what we have here. Then I'm going to come over here to the card content container. Now for the layout, I'm just going to come over here, make sure I justify content to the center and then align item to the center as well. Then I'll come over here to our element and then select the container widget and drop it right within the card content container. Now for this container here, I'm going to rename it and call it our card. Okay, so now I'll come over here to the width, change the uniform percentage to pixel and give it a value of 350 pixel and a minimum height value of 350 pixel. Then I'm going to come over here, justify content, I'll set it to space around. Then I'll go to the style option for this card, set the background type to gradient, and then come over to the background color. For the first color here, I'm going to set it to red like this. And then for the second color, I'm just going to come over here, set it to somewhere here. Then for the gradient type, I'm going to set it to radial. Okay, so we now have something that looks like this. Okay, so now I'm going to come over here to the border radius and give it a border radius of 10 pixel all round. Then I'll go to the advanced settings and give it a padding of 30 pixel all round. So now we'll now have a card that looks like this. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'll click on this plus icon here, come over to our widget area and search for the icon widget, and then I'm just going to drag it and drop it here. Then I'll come over here, select an icon. Let's say set it to mobile. Now select this, go to the style option and tweak the icon a little bit. For the alignment, I'll set it to the left. Color, I'm going to set it to white. Then the icon size, I'm going to set it to 60 pixel. Then I'm going to come over here and then select the heading widget and drop it right below the icon. And for the heading text, I'm just going to set it to app development. Then I'll go to the HTML tag and set it to H4. Come over to the style option. And then for the typography, I'm going to come over here. Font size, I'm going to change the unit to REM and give it the value of 2.5 REM. And then a font width of 600 semi-bold. Then I'm going to come over to the color and set the color to white. So we now have this pretty basic design for the card. You can design this card however you want to design it in your situation, but this is just a basic design that we'll be working with. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to come over and set the responsiveness of our design. So to do so, I'm just going to come over to the tablets. Now this doesn't look great. So first of all, go to the parent section, come over to the advanced settings, and then we're going to give it a padding of 100 all round. And then we're going to link this to the left. I'm going to set it to 20 pixel, to the right 20 pixel. Then I'm going to come over to this heading text here. Come over to the typography. Now for the size, I'm just going to reduce the size to 4.5 REM, or we can still bring it down to 4 REM. Okay, it's better with 4 REM. All right, so now for the card container, this one here, I'm just going to come over to the layout. For the width, I'm going to set it to 250 pixel, and then the height, I set it to 250 pixel as well. For the icon size, I'm just going to come over here, set it to 50 pixel. The text, the heading text here, I'm just going to come over here and set it to 1.5 REM. Okay, so now this is what we'll have for our tablet. Now let's check it out on mobile. Now for mobile, this still looks great on mobile. Okay, however, we just need some more space between this button and the card. So to do so, we're just going to come over here to this container, the text content container, go to the advanced settings, unlink this, and then to the bottom, to give it a 30 pixel. So we now have this. Then we're going to come over here to the card container. Then for the width, I'm going to set the width to 250 pixel. Okay, everything now looks great on the mobile. Okay, so now I'm just going to come back here, or we can still come over here and reduce the heading text. Let's just reduce this to 3.5. All right, so now it all looks great right now. As you can see, this looks great. So now what we're going to do next, go back here. So now the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to come over to this card container here. For this card, go to the advanced settings and come over here to where we'll have the position. Then I'm going to set the position to absolute. Then for the offset, horizontal offset, I'm just going to delete the 0 that is there. And then for the vertical, I'm also going to delete the 0 that is there. So now we'll now have it perfectly placed on the center like so. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this card multiple times. Duplicate it, let's say 5 times. Okay, so now that I've done that, the next thing I'll do here is I'm just going to pause this video where I change the card content to different content and color. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, I've changed the content. We have search engine optimization, and then there is UI UX, there is graphics, and then web development, and finally app development. So now the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to come over to the first card here. Now for the first card, I'm going to go to the advanced settings. Under the advanced settings, I'll come down to have the transform. Under rotate, I'm going to come over here and then set the rotation to 10 degree. Then I'm going to come down here for the anchor X anchor point. I'm going to set it to the right. Y anchor point, I'm going to set it to the bottom. Then I'm going to come over to the second card, go to the advanced settings, come over here to the transform, and I'm going to do the same here for the rotate. I'm going to set the rotate value here to -18. Then I'm going to come down here to the X anchor point and set it to the right. On the Y anchor point, I'm going to set it to the bottom. Then I'll come over to the third card, go to the advanced settings, come down here to the transform. For the rotate, I'm going to set the rotate value to 6. Then I'm going to come over here, anchor point, X anchor point, I set it to the right, Y anchor point, I set it to the bottom. Come over to the fourth card, advanced settings, come down here to the transform. For the rotate, I'm going to set the rotate to -8. And then for the X anchor point, I set it to the right, Y anchor point, I set it to the bottom. Then I'll come over to the final card. Then on this card, I'm not going to add any transform effect to it. I'm not going to add any rotation or direction or whatever. So this is what we're going to have as our final result. As you can see, this looks wonderful. Okay, so now we can check it out, see what it looks like on all other devices. Now we have a problem here, as you can see. So now we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that on mobile. So now let's come back here. So in order for us to fix this here on the mobile, we're going to notice that the reason for that is because our card content container here doesn't have any height of its own, since all the content here are placed in absolute position. So what we're going to do here for this card content container, we're going to come over here to give it a minimal height value, change the unit from pixel to VH, and give it a minimal height value of 60 VH, and you're going to see it's now set properly. Yep, it looks great now. So now we're going to come back here. Let's go back to the desktop. We now have everything all set well. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add a CSS class to the various containers. So to do so, I'm going to head over to my code editor. We have written down the code. Now this is the code we'll be using. So I'm going to just add the various CSS classes. These are the various CSS classes we'll be using here. So now for the first CSS class, just as you can see, the names kind of look similar to the card container, so that you know which CSS class goes for which easily. So copy out the TCA parent section, copy this out. Then I'm going to come back here, come over to the parent section here, go to the under the layout, we'll come down here to the CSS class, and then we're going to give it the CSS class here. We'll come back here to the card content, TCA card content, and then we'll come back here to where we'll have that container here, and then we're going to come over, set it to go to the advanced settings, and then give it the CSS class value here. Then finally, for the individual cards, I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to copy this TCA card, and then I'm just going to go to the advanced settings, come down the CSS class, and then I'm going to give them individually the same CSS class, which is the TCA card. So I'm just going to set them real quick. Okay, so now that I've done that and all our various classes, our various containers have their classes all set out. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to come over here, and then I'm going to add another container here. Now go to the element area, and then I'll search for the HTML widget, and then I'm going to drag it and drop it here. Now for the HTML widget, I'll go back to our code editor. This is the code here. I'm just going to copy it out. Not to worry yourself about this code. It's going to be made available on the description of this video and on the comment section, so you get it easily and then use it for free on your website. Okay, so I'm just going to come over here and paste it. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add another container here at the bottom. The reason for that is so that we'll have option for scrolling on our site. So I'm just going to add this. Now in your situation, your website could have other content around, so you won't be needing this space for scrolling. So I'm just going to add this, give it a VH of 100. Okay, so we now have space for scrolling. So I'm going to publish this, and then I'm going to go to preview changes. Now we can see that we now have this. So when we scroll, however, before we proceed, you can see that we now have an overflow. So to fix this overflow before we proceed, I'm just going to go back here to our design, come over to our parent section container, come over to the layout, come down to the additional option, and for the overflow, I'm just going to set it to hidden, and then I'm going to publish this, and then I'm going to come back here. You can see we no longer have an overflow, and our scroll effect is working perfectly, as you can see. So when you scroll back, it goes back, rather than the conventional way of creating stacking cards where it comes from vertically, it stacks up vertically from the top to the bottom. Now in our case, we've created one that stacks from the right to the left, as you can see. And then it goes back when you scroll down, and it comes back. And it's responsive on all devices. So we've come to the end of this tutorial. If you've learned something new from this tutorial, remember to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new to our channel, remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified first when I drop a new video. Feel free to drop your comment wherever you're confused or have any suggestion, and I'll do well to attend to as much as I can. But until then, see you in our next video. Bye bye.